Today is what? July the 3rd, huh?
Yes,
Okay.
July 3rd.
Me and Benjamin start reading on the life of David, and we might take turn to read together. So yeah. But let's first to look at the life of the author. His name is one Alexander
McLaren.
MacLaren. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me read a little bit, okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's Alexander MacLaren, Scottish Baptist minister. Um, the 11th February 1826 to May, the 5th of May for 1910. Oh wow, can you believe that? So,
Mm-hmm.
was a Scottish Baptist minister and writer. Biography. MacLaren was born in Glasgow, in Scotland, the son of David MacLaren, a merchant and a Baptist lay preacher. His father went to Australia from 1837 to 1841, where he served as resident manager of the South Australian Company, leaving his family in Edinburgh. During the father's absence, MacLaren was converted and publicly baptized into the fellowship of the Hope St. Baptist Church, Glasgow, sometime between 11 and 13. He was educated at the Glasgow High School and Glasgow University as a family moved to London with the father returned from Australia. Lara entered Stepney College in 1842 at the age of 16, a Baptist institution in London. He was heavily influenced by Dr. David Davis, an eminent Hebrew scholar, and became an enthusiastic student of Hebrew and Greek, among other subjects. He took a bachelor's degree at the University of London before he was 20, sitting for examination for his arts degree and winning prizes in Hebrew and Greek. Besides his collegiate studies, he reread widely in literature and being especially fond for the English poets. The following year, he commenced his ministry at the Portland Chapel, Southampton. He worked there for 12 years and developed a reputation as an attractive and powerful preacher. After much solicitation from other congregations, he accepted the invitation to the pastorate of Union Chapel in Manchester, where he remained from 1858 until his retirement in 1903. During his ministry, the congregation built and relocated to Union Baptist Chapel, Oxford Road, Manchester, completely in 1869. He visited Australia and New Zealand in 1889, where he preached and ministered city to large congregations despite poor health. MacLaren was twice president of the Baptist Union for Great Britain. It was president of the Baptist World Congress in London in 1905. He received honorary degrees in divinity from both Edinburgh and Glasgow universities. In 1896, the citizens of Manchester had his poetry printed for their art gallery, and the Anglican Bishop of Manchester gave the address when the painting was presented. He said that a few speakers had exceeded MacLaren for profundity of thought, logical arrangement, eloquence of appeal, and power over the human heart. Many attempts were made to draw MacLaren from Manchester, but he remained there despite his dislike of the climate and the workload. In 1903, he was made pastor emeritus and retired from the active ministry. His works, you can see, there are few. I mean, so most are expositions. With
Mm.
expositions, we are reading together with no one. So
Mm.
the first book. That being said, I want you to start reading on the life of David as reflected
Mm.
in the Psalms by Alexander MacLaren. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Start with one introduction.
Okay. Perhaps the most striking characteristics of the life of David is its romantic variety of circumstances. What a many-colored career that was, which began amidst the pastoral solitudes of Bethlehem, and ended in the chamber where the dying ears heard the blare of the trumpets that announced the accession of Bathsheba's son. He passes through the most sharply contrasted conditions, and from each gathers some fresh fitness for his great work of giving voice and form to all the phases of devout feeling. The early shepherd's life deeply influenced his character, and has left its traces on many a line of his psalms. This is a quote here. Love had he found in huts where poor men lie. His daily teachers had been woods and rills, the silence that is in the starry sky, the sleep that is among the lonely hills. And then, in strange contrast with the meditative, quiet, and lowly duties of these first years, came the crowded vicissitudes of the tempestuous course through which he reached his throne. Court minstrel, companion and friend of a king, idol of the people, champion of the armies of God, and in his sudden elevation keeping the gracious sweetness of his lowlier and perhaps happier days. The scene changes with startling suddenness to the desert. He is hunted like a partridge upon the mountains, a fugitive and a freebooter, taking service at foreign courts and lurking on the frontiers with a band of outlaws recruited from the dangerous classes of Israel. Like Dante and many more, he has to learn the weariness of the exile's lot, how hard his fare, how homeless his heart, how cold the courtesies of aliens, how unslumbering the suspicions which watch the refugee who fights on the side of his natural enemies. One more swift transition, and he is on the throne for long years, victorious, prosperous, and beloved. Another quote here. Nor did he change, but kept in lofty place the wisdom which adversity had bred, till suddenly he is plunged into the mire, and falsifies all his past, and ruins forever, by the sin of his mature age, his peace of heart, and the prosperity of his kingdom. Thenceforward trouble is never far away, and his later years are shaded with the saddening consciousness of his great fault, as well as by hatred and rebellion and murder in his family, and discontent and alienation in his kingdom. None of the great men of Scripture passed through a course of so many changes. None of them touched human life at so many points. None of them were so tempered and polished by the swift alternation of heat and cold, by such heavy blows and the friction of such rapid revolutions. Like his great Son and Lord, though in a lower sense, he too must be in all points tempted like as we are, that his words may be fitted for the solace and strength of the whole world. Poets learn in suffering what they teach in song. These quick transitions of fortune and this wide experience are the many-colored threads from which the rich web of his psalms is woven. Let me know if you have thoughts to stop here.
No, continue to read. It's good. Yeah.
And while the life is singularly varied, the character is also singularly full and versatile. In this respect, too, he is most unlike the other leading figures of the Old Testament history. Contrast him, for example, with the stern majesty of Moses, austere and simple as the tables of stone, or with the unvarying tone and the gamut of strength of Elijah. These and the other mighty men in Israel are like the ruder instruments of music, the trumpet of Sinai, with its one prolonged note. David is like his own harp of many chords, through which the breath of God murmured, drawing forth wailing and rejoicing, the clear ring of triumphant trust. The low plaint of
penitence.
The blended harmonies of all devout emotions.
Thank you. Yeah, sorry. Sweet.
The man had his faults, grave enough. Let it be remembered that no one has judged them more rigorously than himself. The critics who have delighted to point at them have been anticipated by the
penitent.
I have a hard one with that.
That's a word, basically a remorseful person, a regretting person. Yeah. A person in regret.
And their
indictment being accused of some crime or something. Yeah.
Has been little more than the quotation of his own confession. His
tremulously
susceptible nature. Especially assailable by the delights of sense, led him astray. There are traces in his life of occasional craft and untruthfulness, which even the exigencies of exile and war do not wholly palliate. Flashes of fierce vengeance at times break from the clear sky of his generous nature. His strong affection became, in at least one case, weak and foolish fondness for an unworthy son.
Speaking of Absalom, basically.
But when all this is admitted, there remains a wonderfully rich, lovable character. He is the very ideal of a minstrel hero, such as the legends of the East especially love to paint. The shepherd's staff or sling, the sword, the scepter, and the lyre are equally familiar to his hands. That union of the soldier and the poet gives the life a particular charm, and is very strikingly brought out in the chapter of the life of Samuel, which begins, "These be the last words of David," and after giving the swan song of him whom it calls, the sweet psalmist of Israel passes immediately to the other side of the dual character. With these be the names of the mighty men whom David had. Thus, on the one side, we see the true poetic temperament, with all its capacities for keenest delight and sharpest agony, with its tremulous mobility, its openness to every impression, its gaze of childlike wonder, and eager welcome to whatsoever things are lovely, its simplicity and self-forgetfulness, its yearnings after worlds half realized, its hunger for love, its pity, and its tears. He was made to be the inspired poet of the religious affections. And on the other side, we see the greatest qualities of a military leader of the antique type, in which personal daring and a strong arm count for more than strategic skill. He dashes at Goliath with an enthusiasm of a youthful courage and faith, while still in earliest gloom of his manhood. At the head of his wild band of outlaws, he shows himself sagacious, full of resource, prudent in counsel, and swift as lightning in act. Frank and generous, bold and gentle, cheery in defeat, calm in peril, patient in privations, and ready to share them with his men. Modest and self-restrained in victory, chivalrous to his foes, ever watchful, ever hopeful, a born leader and king of men. The basis of all was a profound, joyous trust in his shepherd God, and an ardor of personal love to him, such as had never before been expressed, if it had ever found place in Israel. That trust opened his mouth to show forth God's praise, and strengthened his fingers to fight. He has told us himself what was his habitual temper, and how it was sustained. I have set the Lord always before me, because he is at my right hand. I shall not be moved, therefore my heart is glad, and my glory rejoices. That's Psalm 24?
No, that's the 16th.
Really?
X is a 10, we is a 5, 1 on the right is plus 10. So 15 plus 10 is equal to 16.
Well, there you go.
I'm sorry, it's 5 plus 1 equals 6. So 16. So
16, 8, and
9. We need to know Roman number
I
because
guess I get to get that.
this is book going to go through Psalms. So no, it's very helpful.
Yeah, but that's
You might want to print it out, a little paper,
yeah.
Roman numbers on this. Because I confuse sometimes myself. So go ahead.
Thus endowed, he moved among men with that irresistible fascination, which only the greatest exercise. From the day when he stole like a sunbeam into this darkened chamber where Saul wrestled with the evil spirit, he bows all hearts that come under his spell. The women of Israel chant his name with song and timbrel. Is that right? Timbrel?
Timbrel. Yeah, I think so.
The daughter of Saul confesses her love unasked.
That's my Michelle. I think Michelle is her name. Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The noble soul of Jonathan cleaves to him.
You know that one, man. Jonathan is the son of Saul.
The rude outlaws and his little army peril their lives to gratify his longing for a draught from the well where he had watered his father's flocks. The priest let him take the consecrated bread and trust him with Goliath's sword. From behind the altar, his lofty courtesy wins the heart of Abigail.
Courtesy.
Courtesy.
Sorry.
Yeah. The very king of the Philistines tells him that he is good in his sight as an angel of God. The unhappy Saul's last word to him is a blessing. 600 men of Gath forsake home and country to follow his fortunes when he returns from exile. And even in the dark close of his reign, though sin and self-indulgence and neglect of his kingly duties had weakened his subjects' loyalty, his fight before Absalom.
Flight.
Sorry.
Take off, basically. Yeah.
Is brightened by instances of passionate devotion, which no common character could have evoked. And even then, his people are ready to die for him, and in their affectionate pride, call him the light of Israel.
The light of Israel.
It was a prophetic instinct which made Jesse call his youngest boy by a name apparently before unused, David, beloved. The Spirit of God acting through these great natural gifts and using this diversified experience of life, originated in him a new form of inspiration. The law was the revelation of the mind, and in some measure of the heart, of God to man. The psalm is the echo of the law, the return current set in motion by the outflow of the divine will, the response of the heart of man to the manifested God. There had indeed been traces of hymns before David. They were the burst of triumph which the daughters of Israel sang, with timbrel and dance. Over Pharaoh and his host, the prayer of Moses, the man of God. Psalm. What is he?
Well, you know what? That I don't know. I think
we'll both make a chart.
Yeah, I don't know. Sorry.
No worries.
Mm-hmm.
So archaic in its tone, bearing in every line the impress of the weary wilderness and the law of death, the song of the dying lawgiver. The passionate, what is that?
Let me look at it. I'm sorry. I'm going to try to find the Roman chart. Where's that? The passionate pian. That's an interesting word. Of Deborah. Yeah, Deborah. Yeah.
And some few briefer fragments.
C is 100.
Oh, okay.
So yeah. So let's look at
so that should be
some good imagery here. Yeah. Roman numbers. Which was good. I think this is a good one. Simple and good. Sorry, I'm going to share that with you. Yeah. So we need that. Yeah. There's a little bunch. I don't think we need every one of them. I need a simple one. What? Where are you? Here we go. That's it. Huh. Can I see it? Yeah, okay. Share with the Benjamin. Benjamin. How about that?
Let's see.
You got it? Yeah, C is 100. CC is 200.
Okay, and then XC is 90.
D is 500. So M is 1,000.
Okay. So yeah, it looks like that was Psalm 90 then that we.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what? Is that right? Yes, 90. Ah, you're right.
All right.
We're smart. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
All right. And but practically, the psalm began with David, and though many hands struck the harp after him, even down at least to the return from exile, he remains emphatically. Yeah,
emphasize emphatically. Yeah.
The sweet psalmist of Israel. The psalms which are attributed to him. Attributed.
Mm-hmm. Belong to some as authorship in a way. So.
On the whole, a marked similarity of manner. Let me reread that. The psalms which are attributed to him have, on the whole, a marked similarity.
Let me read it from this portion, if you can. So, sorry, it's we're going to divide half hours and marks. So, yeah. The psalms which are attributed to him have, on the whole, a marked similarity of manner. Their characteristics have been well summed up as creative originality, predominantly elegiac tone, graceful form and movement, antique but lucid style, to which may be added some intensity of their devotion, the passion of a divine love that glows in them all. They correspond too with the circumstances of life as given in the historical books. The early shepherd days, manifold sorrows, the haunted wanderings, the royal authority, the wars, the triumphs, the sin, the remorse, which are woven together so strikingly in the lantern, all reappear in the Psalms. The illusions, indeed, for the most part, general rather than special, as is natural. His words are thereby the better fitted for ready application to the trial of other lives. But as being purpose to history assumes that allusions are so general as to make it impossible to connect them with any precise events, or to make the Psalms and the history mutually illustrative. Much, no doubt, must be conjured rather than affirmed, and much must be left undetermined. But when all deductions on that score have been made, it still appears possible to carry the process sufficiently far to gain fresh insight into the force and the definiteness of many David's words, and to use them with tolerable confidence as a throwing light upon the narrative is clear. The attempt is made in some degree in this volume. It will be necessary to prefix a few further remarks on the Davidic Psalms in general. Can we tell which are David's? The Psalter, as it is generally known, is divided into 5 books or parts, members. Some ideas that is correspond with the Pentateuch. These 5 books are marked by doxology and the close of each, except the last. The first portion consists of Psalm 1 to, what is that? What is that? Huh? That's a tough one. Huh? I'm going to look at it. L, huh? We didn't learn L. L is a 50. So that's going to be 41, right? So, yeah. 1 to 41. Yep. I'm certain now.
You got it.
Good. So you learn Roman number, that's good. The second of Psalm 42, obviously. 2. Ha. 72, right? So, yeah.
72?
So, yeah.
What's that first one? Oh, 1.
So 50 plus 2, XX is 20. So then 272. So, yeah. Intriguing, huh? Intriguing how to read numbers. So, yeah. The third of Psalm 73, obviously. No, try that one.
Something 9.
89.
Is that right?
Yeah, 89. Yeah, so that's right. The fourth of Psalm
90.
Wow. That's 92. 96, am I? So, yes. Yeah. And the fifth of Psalm 90.
No, that was 100 and.
I'm sorry,
116.
And 16.
Yeah.
Ah, that's right.
Or
106. 106.
Yeah, 106.
106, yeah.
That's right.
The next one is 107 to 150. Oh, no way. Seriously? Yeah, 150. We do have 150. CL. Yeah. All 150, right? So. Yeah, that's what it is. So.
Looks like it.
I don't know. So yeah. Anyway, so you got it. So. The Psalms attributed to David are unequally distributed through. There's 5 books. There are several. There were 73. It around us. In the first book, there are 37. So if we regard Psalm 1, 2 as a kind of a double introduction, frontispiece, and we can add title page to the whole collection. The first book proper, only 2 which are not regarded as David's. The second book has a much smaller proportion, only 18 out of 31. The third book has but one, the fourth 2, while the fifth has 15, 8 of which occur almost at the close. The intention is obvious to throw the Davidic Psalms as much as possible together in the first 2 books. And the inference is not unnatural that this may have formed in an early collection to which afterwards added the remaining 3 with a considerable body for alleged Psalms of David, which and subsequently come to light, placed side by side at the end, so as to round off the whole. Be that it may, one thing is clear from the arrangement of the Psalter, namely, that the subscriptions which give the author's names and the list as old as the collection itself, for they have guided the order of the collection in the grouping not only of Davidic Psalms, but also for those attributed to the sons of Korah and to Ashva. The question of the reliableness of these subscriptions is hotly debated. The balance of modern opinions decided against their genuineness, as in greater matters, so here the higher criticism comes to the consideration of their claims with a prejudice against them, and on every arbitrary ground determines for itself, quite irrespective of these ancient voices, the date and the authorship of the Psalms. The extreme forms this tendency is to be found in the masterly work of Elrod, who has devoted all his vast part of criticism and acted out with all its equally great part of confident assertion to the book, and has come to the conclusion that we have but 11 of David's Psalms, which is surely a result that may lead to questionings as to the method which has attained it. These editorial notes are proved to be of extreme antiquity by such considerations as this. The Septuagint translator found them and did not understand them. The synagogue preserves no tradition to explain them. The book of Chronicles throws no light upon them, and they are very rare in the last 2 books of the Psalter. In some cases, they are obviously erroneous, but in the greater number, there is nothing inconsistent with the correctness in the Psalms to which they are appended. But very frequently, they throw a floodlight upon this, and all but prove their trustworthiness by their appropriateness. Not authority, but the merit, respect, consideration, and as Dr. Porovin put it in his valuable work on the Psalms, stand apart with the subscription to the epistles in the New Testament. Regarding them thus, and yet examine the Psalm to which they are prefixed, there seem to be about 45 which we may attribute with some confidence to David, and with this we will be concerned in this book. 2. Earlier days. The life of David is naturally divided into epochs, of which we may avail ourselves for the more ready arrangement of our material. These are his early years after his escape from the court of Saul, his exile, the process beginning his reign, his sin and penitence, his flight before Absalom's rebellion at the darkened end. But a faint incidental traces the life after his anointing by Samuel, with which the narrative in the historical books opens. However, the fact that the story begins with a consecration to office is for more value than the missing biography of his childhood could have been. It teaches us a point of view from which Scripture regards greatest names as nothing except insofar as they are God's instruments. Here, hence, its carelessness notwithstanding, that is so much of his history, of all that merely retreats the personal character of his heroes, and 2, the clearness with which, notwithstanding that indifference, the living man has set before us the image cut with half a dozen strokes of the Caesar. We don't know the age of David when Samuel appeared in the little village with a horn of secret oil in his hand. The only approximation to it is furnished by the fact that he was 30 at the beginning of the reign. 2 Samuel 5:4. If we take into account that exile must have lasted for a very considerable period, one portion of his second flight to the Philistines was 16 months for Samuel 27:7. That the previous residence and the court of Saul must have been long enough to give time for his gradual rise to popularity, and thereafter for the gradual development of the king's insane hatred. And further back still, there was an indefinite period between the fight with Goliath and the first visit as an ministerial physician to the palace, which was spent at Bethlehem. And that visit itself cannot have been very brief, since in the course it became very dear and familiar to Saul. We're not saying that all these events could be crowded into less than some 12 or 15 years, or that it could have been more than a lad of some 16 years of age when Samuel's hand smote the sacred oil as a cluster of curls. Whole life had gone with him. Till then, we can easily gather from the narrative of Scripture, his father's household seems to have been one in which models of frugality ruled. There's no trace of Jesse having servants. His youngest child does menial work. The present which he sends to his king when David goes to court was a sample, and such as a man in humble life would give: as loaf of bread, one skin of wine, and one kid. His flocks were small, a few sheep. It would appear as if prosperity has not smiled on the family since the death of Jesus' grandfather, Boaz, the mighty man of wealth. David's place in the household does not seem to have been a happy one. His father scarcely reckoned him among his sons. That answers Samuel's question: if the 7 burly husbandmen who has seen all his children with the true content, and remember that there is another, and behold, he kept the sheep. Of his mother we hear but once, and then incidentally from a moment long after. His brothers had no love for him, and does not appear to have shared either his heart or his fortunes. The boy evidently had the usual fate of a soul like his, to grow up in uncongenial circumstances, later understood and less sympathized with by the commonplace people around them, and threw back, therefore, all the more decisively upon themselves. The process soars and spoils some, but is the making of more, and whereas in this case the nature is assumed back upon God, and not on its own morbid operation, strength comes from repression, and sweetness from endurance. He may have received some instruction in one of Samuel's schools for the prophets, but we are left in entire ignorance of what other helps to unfold itself were given to his abiding life. Whether others he had, no doubt those which are emphasized in the Bible story was the chief, namely his occupation, and the many gifts which it brought to him: the limbs like hands, feet, the sinews arms which broke a ball of steel, the precision with which he used the sling, the agility which leaped over a rampart, the health that glowed in his ruddy face was the list of his obligation to the breezy uplands, where he kept his father's sheep. His early life taught him courage when he smote the lion and laid hold by his ugly muzzle of the bear that rose against him, reared itself up upright for the fatal hog. Solitude and familiarity with nature helped to nurture the poetical side of his character and to strengthen that meditative habit which blends so strangely with his impetuous activity, and which for the most part kept turmoils and toils from invading his essential soul. They threw him back on God, who peopled the solitude and spoke in all nature. Beside this, acquired in the sheepcote lessons which he practiced on the throne. The role means service, and that is the shepherdman holds his office in order that he may protect and guide. In the lowly associations of his humble home, he learned the life of the people, the simple joys, the unconsecrated toils, the unnoticed sorrows, a priceless piece of knowledge, both for the poet and for the king. Abridging all the tranquil habits of this modest life was made by Samuel's astonishing errand. The story is told with wonderful picturesqueness and dramatic force. Amid the account of the successive rejections of his brothers, Samuel's question, and Jesse's answer, and then the pause for idle waiting until the messenger goes and returns, heighten the expectation with which we took for his appearance. And then what a sweet young face lovingly painted for us. He was a ruddy, and withal of a beautiful countenance, and goodly to look to for Samuel 16:12. Of fair complexion, with golden hair, which is rare among these wealthy black-locked Easterns, with lovely eyes, for that is the meaning of the words which the English Bible renders of a beautiful countenance, large and liquid, has become a poet. So he stood before the old prophet, and with a swelling heart and reverent awe received the holy chrism. In silence it would have seemed Samuel noted him, whether the secret of his high destiny was imparted to him then or led to be disclosed in future years is not told. But in all events, whether with a full understanding of what was before him or not, or no, he must have been conscious of a call that would carry him far away from the patches and the olive yards of the little hamlet, and for a new spirit stirring him from that day forward. Yeah. The sudden change in all the outlook of life must have given new materials of thought when he went back to his humble task. Responsibility or the prospect of it makes lance into man very quickly. Graver meditations, humbler consciousness of weakness, a firm trust in God who had laid the burden upon him, would do in days the work of years. The necessity for beating back the vision of the future in order to do faithfully the obscure duties of the present would end self-control and patience, not usually the graces of youth. How swiftly he matured is singularly shown in the next recorded incident, his summons to the court of Saul, by the character of him drawn by the courtier who recommends him to the king. It speaks David in words more suitable to a man of established renown than to a stripling. Is minstrel and warrior, cunning in playing, and a mighty willing man, and skilled in speech, already eloquent, and fair in form, and the Lord is with him. 1 Samuel 16:18. So quickly had the new circumstances and energy of the Spirit gone like a tropical sunshine, ripened his soul. At first, visit to the court was but an episode in his life, however, helpful to his growth it may have been. It would give him the knowledge of a new sense, widen his experience, and prepare him for the future. But it can't have been over a long duration. Possible is a hard loss of power over Saul's gloomy spirit when he had become familiar with his notes. For whatever reason, he returned to his father's house and gladly exchanged the fear and court, which might have seemed to be a merely ambitious man, the first step towards fulfilling the prophecy of Samuel's anointing. For the freedom of the pastoral solitudes abound in Bethlehem. There he remained, living to outward seemingly as in the quiet days before those two great earthquakes in his life, but with deeper thoughts and new power, with a broad experience and a wider horizon, until the hour was finally wrenched from his seclusion and flung into the whirlpool of his public career. There are none of David's psalms which can be with any certainty referred to this first period of his life, but it has left deep traces on many of them. The allusions to natural scenery and the frequent reference to the varying aspects of the shepherd's life are specimens of this. One characteristic of the poetic temperament is the faithful remembrance and cherishing of early days. How fondly he recalled them is shown in that most pathetic incident of his longing as a weary exile for one draught of water from the well and Bethlehem, where in the dear old days and so often led his flocks. But though we can see confidently that we have any psalms prior to his first exile, there are several which, whatever the dates may be, are echoes of his thoughts in these first days. This is especially the case in regard to the group which describe varying aspects of nature, that is Psalms. Now you want to give me the numbers? Mm-hmm.
That looks like
19, am I? So yeah.
Oh, I thought 19 was when the I would go after the X, because it
Put before
you think-
deduct 20, the second 10. So
okay,
yeah, the first X is 10.
and then IX is
Then yeah, it's a
Okay.
10 minus 1 equals 9, so
Got it.
19.
and
Then
the
what?
next one is 8, right? Is that
Oh,
eight?
that's a 53. So.
No way. V
Yeah.
is 50?
Oh, that's 8? No. Yeah, with a 50.
Oh.
Yeah,
And then it was
53.
5. Okay, and then the next one is,
You know what? You're right. That's Psalms 8. Yeah,
Okay.
you're right. Yeah.
and then this one is 29.
Very good. That's true. We had a guess.
We're
So
getting there.
yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah. Why not you continue to read it?
Sure.
Yeah.
They are unlike his later psalms, and the almost entire absence of personal references, or of any trace of pressing cares, or of the signs of a varied experience of human life. In their self-forgetful contemplation of nature, in their silence about sorrow, in their tranquil beauty, they resemble the youthful works of a poet whose later verse throbs with quivering consciousness of life's agonies, or wrestles strongly with life's problems. They may not unnaturally be regarded as the outpouring of a young heart at leisure from itself, and from pain, far from men and very near God. The fresh mountain air of Bethlehem blows through them, and the dew of life's quiet morning is on them. The early experience supplied their materials, whatever was the date of their composition, and in them we can see what his inward life was in these budding years. The gaze of childlike wonder and awe upon the blazing brightness of the noonday, and on the mighty heaven with all its stars, the deep voice with which all creation spoke of God, the great thoughts of dignity of man, thoughts ever welcome to lofty youthful souls. The gleaming of an inward light, brighter than all suns, the consciousness of mysteries of weakness, which may become miracles of sin in one's own heart. The assurance of close relation to God as his anointed and his servant. The cry for help and guidance. All this is what we should expect David to have thought and felt as he wandered among the hills, alone with God. And this is what these songs give us. Common to them all is the peculiar manner of looking upon nature, so uniform in David's psalms, so unlike more modern descriptive poetry. He can smite out a picture in a phrase, but he does not care to paint landscapes. He feels the deep analogies between man and his dwelling place, but he does not care to lend to nature a shadowy life, the reflection of our own. Creation is to him neither a subject for poetical description nor for scientific examination. It is nothing but the garment of God, the apocalypse of the heavenly, and common to them all is also the swift transition from the outward facts which reveal God to the spiritual world, where his presence is, if it were possible, yet more needful, and his operations yet mightier. And common to them all is a certain rush of full thought and joyous power, which is again a characteristic of a youthful work, and is unlike the elegiac tenderness and pathos of David's later hymns.
Mm-hmm.
The 19th Psalm paints for us the glory of heavens by day, as the 8 by night. The former gathers up the impressions of many a fresh morning, when the solitary shepherd boy watched the sun rising over the mountains of Moab, which close the eastern view from the hills above Bethlehem. The sacred silence of dawn, the deeper hush of night, have voice for his ear. No speech and no words, unheard is their voice. But yet in all the earth goeth forth their line, and in the end of the habitable world their sayings. The heaven and the firmament.
Before I forgot, I just want to tell you.
Yes, please.
I had this song before our start reading.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
From yesterday.
Which one is that one?
19.
19?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Now, I almost saw when I think about it, David lying on the slope of a meadow hill and looking at the stars, Night sometimes, hand by the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was wandering, meditating, worshiping.
Yeah.
But look at the stars, Simple is life,
It is.
Yeah.
Beautiful but simple.
Yeah. You want to hear something?
Yes.
Reminded me. The first year I came to the Lord, I was homeless, but a homeless advantage, you got room around anywhere you want to go. So, in the middle of the city of Austin, there was a lake area, wooded, some river coursing through it. The riverbed, big stones, big boulder, flat on the bottom of the lake. And some stand out, like a man high. You can climb on it, just land in the center. Because the riverbed is all cleared up, there's no wood around. So you just look at the beautiful sky. All the stars. This boulder was so huge. It's like a big, so it's not small boulders. And nothing else around except, insects, some animals. So I used to sleep there. Yeah, by myself. It's one of the most beautiful times in my life. So Yeah. Nobody around, not a soul, but God. And God spoke to me those days. Well, so
That's beautiful.
there's peace, So yeah,
For sure.
absolutely tranquility. Yeah. All the worries, anxiety, cases to forgot, So in that place, the world is disappeared on you, just like
Just one focus.
yeah. There's nowhere to look at it. Everywhere is covered by trees still, so it's still divided by facing the star. I think, oh my, I'm here. Small, finite, and nobody know me. And sometimes you even bitter, not bitter, but just thinking, I don't need to know anybody either. Terrible sentiment, but it's true, So yeah, finally God has spoke to me.
Yeah.
Night and night waiting on Him, and He does speak. You don't know how to hear Him, It's where just one has some peace, So yeah. Tired. Not really tired. Tired, exhausting in the heart, not just physically. So yeah.
Quiet mind.
Yeah. I don't think you're ever gonna experience what I experience. Tired of the world. Tired of other human beings. That's a terrible sentiment to have. But I was really hitting the bottom in a sense. Yeah. Anyway, so
The heavens and the firmament, the linked course of the day and the night, are heralds of God's glory. With silent speech, heard in all lands, an unremitting voice. As he looks, there leaps into the eastern heavens, not with the long twilight of northern lands, the sudden splendor, the sun radiant as a bridegroom from the bridal chamber. Like some athlete impatient for the course, how the joy of the morning and its new vigor throb in the words.
you can only have the kind of perspectives when you went in the mountain and an open world, right? So yeah, seeing the whole day, So sunrise, sunset. I don't know about it. There's something intriguing about looking at the sunrise, and sunset. So yeah, on the height. I'm not talking about just things anywhere. Always by the ocean. Yeah. You need to try those. I mean, I know you were adventurous outdoor guy as well, but I have been there. It was just like glorious,
You just feel like the wind. That's all you feel.
Honestly, you feel the smallness of your existence.
Oh, definitely.
And
Especially
also,
on the mountain.
yeah, also the wonderful creation, And then you feel so remote yet so close to nature. So it's a very interesting contrast. And then if you know God, He's so remote, yet He's so near. In those places or those moments, you really feel the sublimity of devotion. His devotion to you and your devotion, you can also elevate yourself to devote to Him. So yeah, He speaks. Yeah. Man need to get out yourself. Not merely the peripherals. I'm talking about everything that you think who you are. So not the wrong way. I'm talking about just learn to get out of yourself. So yeah, those occasions, those moments provide that kind of chance for you to say, yeah. Without me, the world's still rotating, right? Still goes on. So I'm not that important. So not really. Yeah. So.
Okay, where was it? And then, oh sorry.
you were lost.
And then he watches the strong runner climbing the heavens till the fierce heat beats down into the deep cleft of the Jordan. And all the treeless southern hills, as they slope toward the desert, lie bare and blazing beneath the beams.
We draw a rocky mountain, draw on the top of the mountain from south, across California to Oregon, then to north. There's a huge mountain range on the top. Not by passing like a 5 or 101, so it's a mountain top. So it was like majestic. You can see all the Pacific, the north, and the wood. The green
valleys.
Yeah, the trees are massive mountain range full of trees, and the sun rises. Catching its hues and shadows on different places. Especially when you have fog or cloud, you can see all that. So sometimes you can see on this side raining is falling down. On the other side is bright sun. The valleys, everything's under your feet. So it's all oceans. Into the distance. It's like wow. This is the northwest of the whole range. So into Canada. So you can see it. So that's one majestic experience. The other experience is I came to Arizona, New Mexico, getting to the Green Canyon. Now driving the Green Canyon, you're gonna have to climb some mountains as well. And we went in the morning. I mean, on the high mountain, you can see the canyon down below, cutting into the like a scar to the earth. So in the ridges of mountain ranges, and it's coming before you. And there, suddenly there's this huge gap, the stop. So then look at all the sun rises. The land is such a glorious thing to the whole thing. There's not a single car out there. There's not many to travel on the road. So this, man, I remember when I was talking to God, thank you so much for brought me to see creation like this. Not just seeing Green Canyon, I'm seeing the whole formation of it before me. And so I said, wow, what a majestic view. So, and then God said, thank you for thinking about me. But have you think about, I created this for you? No way. How many people see Green Canyon? No, thinking again. Oh yeah? With hubris thinking, huh? But God talked to you, he said, no, I created this for you. You can't believe what you heard. Because you're so happy to have a glimpse, like at the end, I see some majestic creation, right? So I'm just, thank you, God brought me from the end of the world to see this, So God says, start to you, say, no, don't think too small of you. I created this for you. Can I think like that? No, that's not true. This is mine. So it's when God talks to you, challenge you, man. Challenge your mindset. Nobody in the world will think like that. But he said, very impressive. He pressed on, No, he was very strong. He said, this is for you. This word moment. This word car. This word person. Everything arranged it. Within that trip, even the money is down to the penny. Down to the dollar, not the penny. And God send people to us, almost begging us to go to see Green Canyon. We didn't plan to go. Only God can do things. But let's mark the place and pray together. Next time, going to start with Psalm 19, okay?
All right, let's do it.
Read together, and can you read here? So
You know how to save it?
yeah, you can mark with a highlight. Also, you can add a bookmark here. Type this icon at the bottom. You can have bookmark there.
I don't have the app.
Yeah.
I don't have the app.
What?
I'm just on the Safari. Look here.
Why you don't have an Apple iBook app? Let me just stop this.